Market dynamics for systemically sustainable human growth and development. The unique nature of market dynamics in systemically sustainable human growth and development lies in its foundational approach to align economic activities with decentralized and localized market economics and market stability and long-term community resilience at the local level within the local context. Unlike conventional economic models that prioritize continuous growth and expansion within a globally interdependent framework, this approach advocates for a decentralized, community-centered economic system that focuses more on continual economic circulation as opposed to the need for continual economic growth within the local markets. This system recognizes the need to work in cooperation, or at minimum, in parallel, with existing sociopolitical and socioeconomic frameworks, thereby engaging with established systems where beneficial, yet pursuing a distinctly localized economic paradigm. While the concept of alternative economic systems may be appealing, and some may even argue imperative, the fact remains that the figurative and literal powers that be have a vested interest in maintaining the current status quo, and will not easily allow for the introduction of alternative economic models. History has shown time and again that any potential effort to introduce alternative economic systems will inevitably fail. Throughout modern history, various governments and organizations have attempted to introduce alternative economic systems or financial models that challenge centralized banking authorities, including national central banks and institutions like the Federal Reserve and their fiat currencies. These efforts generally fall into several categories, including attempts by governments to establish sovereign financial systems independent of international banking norms, efforts to establish alternative reserve currencies, and initiatives to develop decentralized or local currencies as a form of economic resistance or stability. In nearly every case, these initiatives encountered significant challenges, both internally and externally, end up leading to their modification, abandonment, or suppression. One of the most well-known examples in recent history is the movement led by Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, who sought to create a Pan-African currency backed by Libya's gold reserves. Gaddafi's vision, often referred to as the gold dinar, was intended to unify African nations under a single currency that would reduce reliance on the US dollar and the euro. Gaddafi believed that a gold-backed currency would strengthen the whole of Africa and ensure its economic independence, enabling African nations to trade resources and commodities directly, particularly oil, without using Western currencies. However, this initiative faced intense opposition from Western powers, who saw it as a threat to the existing global financial order. Following the Arab Spring uprisings and NATO intervention, Gaddafi and his government were overthrown in 2011, and his plans for a Pan-African gold-backed currency were abandoned. Critics of Western intervention in Libya argue that Gaddafi, with his ambition for economic independence, was a key factor in his eventual ousting. In Latin America, Venezuela under Hugo Chavez and later Nicolas Maduro attempted to establish a financial system less dependent on the US dollar by using alternative trading arrangements within the Latin American region. Chavez was instrumental in creating the Bolivarian Alliance for the Americas, ALBA, a trade bloc that sought to facilitate trade among Latin American countries using a virtual currency known as the sucre. However, the region with its economic challenges, and the lack of a robust support structure for the sucre limited its impact. Additionally, Venezuela introduced its own cryptocurrency, the petro, in 2018, which was purportedly backed by oil reserves and intended as a way to circumvent economic sanctions and stabilize the economy. The petro faced skepticism domestically and internationally, and questions arose regarding its actual backing and practical use. Ultimately, both the sucre and the petro struggled to gain meaningful traction as alternatives to established currencies. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies represent a modern attempt at establishing an alternative financial system that bypasses central banking. Unlike traditional fiat currencies, Bitcoin operates on a decentralized blockchain, theoretically making it resistant to government interference and central bank policies. Since Bitcoin's introduction in 2009, its use has expanded significantly, with some countries like El Salvador adopting it as legal tender in 2021. Proponents argue that cryptocurrencies offer individuals greater control over their finances and a hedge against inflation and government manipulation. However, cryptocurrencies face new and increasingly challenging regulatory hurdles in many nations due to concerns about fraud, money laundering, and market instability. Countries like China have outright banned cryptocurrency trading, and other nations are working on creating central bank digital currencies or CBDC to retain control over digital financial systems. Although the cryptocurrency movement has not been eliminated, it faces increasing and continual regulatory pressure, and its widespread adoption as an alternative economic system remains uncertain. Historical examples of local or complementary currencies also highlight the challenges of alternative economic systems. During the Great Depression, several U.S. cities and communities issued scrip as a temporary alternative to cash, given the scarcity of federal currency. These local currencies aim to stimulate commerce within communities and reduce unemployment by circulating funds within the local economy. Although scrip helped alleviate immediate economic hardship, these systems were temporary and generally dissolved once the federal economy recovered. In some cases, local currencies were viewed as a threat to the national currency system, leading to their restriction or outright banning by federal authorities. Throughout history, these efforts have typically encountered resistance from central banks, international financial organizations, and established economic powers. The competitive threat posed by these alternatives often leads to financial sanctions, political intervention, or regulatory suppression. Governments seeking to maintain monetary stability or geopolitical influence are particularly resistant to movements that challenge established financial systems. These responses demonstrate that, while alternative economic systems can provide a measure of local control or serve as tools of economic resistance, their survival requires navigating complex political, economic, and regulatory landscapes. The fate of such systems underscores the entrenched power of central banks and the integrated nature of global finance and the proverbial and literal powers that be, which all present formidable challenges to any competing model seeking long-term viability, never mind retaining their independence. Establishing a parallel economic system, as opposed to a fully integrated socio-economic system, ensures that this new model remains primarily focused on local economic stability, resilience, and growth, which, when properly managed through viable market dynamics and sustainability, will ultimately serve to the benefit of the state without posing any threat to the status quo either directly or indirectly. The emphasis on decentralization within this structure allows each community or region to develop an economic infrastructure that responds directly to its unique needs, resources, and cultural contexts at the local level. Decentralization is not merely operational but is an ideological shift towards empowering local communities to take ownership of their economic development, cultivating independence within a framework that still benefits from central support. The central authority, operating solely within the capacity for providing logistical, material, and financial coordination and support, does not impose top-down directives but rather provides the necessary resources for localized economic ecosystems to thrive independently and sustainably. This approach balances autonomy with support, fostering environments where communities can grow according to local dynamics while reducing dependency on external or centralized economic forces. Within this framework, economic stability and growth do not rely solely on conventional metrics of growth. Instead, a focus on economic circulation within localized markets ensures a stable and sustainable market ecosystem. Economic circulation in this sense refers to the continual flow and exchange of goods, services, and resources within a local economy, which maintains market dynamics without necessitating continual growth and expansion or external dependency on foreign, or even far away, markets. Distant markets will be used in these operations primarily as a means of providing support and ensuring the stability of local and domestic markets, while minimizing the potential disruption to local markets. There are many inhospitable locations, in whatever form they may take, that are home to many people. Historically and culturally, these people have made do, producing what they can, and in some cases, importing additional goods, or in other cases, doing without them entirely. The glut resulting from the increased efficiency in areas capable of producing goods may be used to supplement this product in distant markets, allowing others to enjoy the goods produced even if they may not be produced locally. This avoids the potential for excess or surplus productivity to adversely disrupt the local markets and serves to strengthen domestic markets. At the same time, it provides a more equitable distribution of goods, which should remain the primary if not sole focus of the centralized governing agency or body. This approach serves as a substitute for the conventional growth model, prioritizing stability over exponential growth and thus providing a more secure foundation for the local population within the local context. By establishing such a system, the localized markets become self-sustaining, able to absorb and adapt to both market and economic fluctuations more effectively. This steady circulation, particularly when it is aligned with local resource availability and demand, fosters a market that is resilient, adaptable, and less prone to the vulnerabilities associated with boom and bust cycles often seen in conventional socioeconomic systems. In terms of broader economic implications, the exponential growth potential of the domestic, national, or international market is not sidelined but rather given a slower, more sustainable trajectory. As the localized systems stabilize and grow, they contribute incrementally to the national economy. This gradual approach allows for organic growth, whereby each community and their economic and market progress is reinforced by the collective, long-term stability of the larger economic framework. This system thereby provides a foundation for international markets that may also benefit from the more robust and secure base of decentralized, community-driven economic units. Through this model, international trade and economic interactions emerge not from a need to compensate for domestic instability but from a platform of local market resilience that enhances national economic security and autonomy. This decentralized, non-competitive approach to market dynamics within systemically sustainable human growth and development does not reject conventional economic frameworks but instead offers a supplemental, resilient model that builds from the ground up. Economic stability achieved through localized economic circulation, rather than constant expansion, provides a more secure, self-sustaining environment that enhances both community welfare and national stability. In turn, this model benefits the state by creating an increasingly stable market and economic base that is less dependent on external shocks and better aligned with the principles of systemically sustainable human growth and development. This framework, when implemented, creates a synergistic effect that aligns local resilience with national and international market and economic interests, fostering a sustainable market dynamic that benefits all stakeholders, including the current socio-political systems in the long term.
Please like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Music by Hatman.